Update 2. My stepfather said I had to share my apartment with his kids and start looking for a bigger one because this place is too small for them. I laughed and decided to teach him a lesson and get revenge. I listened. I truly did. I let her say every line in the script she clearly rehearsed. But I felt nothing, no twinge of guilt, no obligation because what she was asking wasn't a favor. It was a sacrifice. And for what? So Tom could play provider on someone else's dime. So I could become the unpaid, unwilling caretaker of 3 children I had no relationship with. I did not raise those kids. I do not owe them a roof. I barely know their birthdays. And while I do not blame them, they are just caught in the swirl of adult decisions they didn't make. I also do not volunteer to be collateral damage in someone else's poorly managed household. I told her calmly, clearly, and with the full force of boundaries I've spent years learning to enforce, that I wasn't running a hotel, and if Tom wanted more square footage, he could start paying rent. It turns out petty has levels, layers even. And Tom was playing a game I did not realize he was even arrogant enough to enter and definitely not equipped enough to win. About a week after I sent the sorry, not suitable for minors text, I thought the storm had passed. I had braced for more guilt trips. Another round of my mom using emotional blackmail disguised as concern or Tom trying to call me from a burner phone like a divorced dad in a custody battle, but instead radio silence, which was suspicious in itself. Tom was not the type to give up quietly. He was the type to dig in deeper, convinced the world just had not seen the brilliance of his plan yet. And then Patrice called. Now Patrice is not someone you forget. She's my building manager. 50-some, sharp as a nail file and not afraid to use it. The kind of woman who wears orthopedic sneakers, reads true crime in the office between unit inspections, and once chased a porch pirate off the property with a broom. We respect Patrice. We fear Patrice. We absolutely do not cross Patrice. So, when she called my personal cell during a Thursday morning team sync and asked, "Madison, is this guy for real?" I excused myself immediately. Apparently, earlier that morning, Tom had shown up to the leasing office in his business casual I'm a good dad uniform, polo shirt, dress slacks, Bluetooth earpiece still flashing like he was mid-stock trade, and asked to speak to the property manager. He told Patrice that he was my stepfather, which was technically true, and then said he was also my emergency contact, which was definitely false. He claimed that I was moving out very soon and that he'd be taking over the lease. He asked how to start the paperwork and whether he could preemptively schedule a walkthrough for the unit. The audacity wasn't just bold. It was sculpted, architectural, structural. Like, how do you walk into a building and try to steal someone's home while they're still living in it and think that's going to work? Patrice, bless her instinct for nonsense, did not buy it for a second. She looked at him the way one might look at a raccoon that wandered into a Tiffany store. She asked him to wait a moment, then retreated into the office and immediately called me. I assured her that no, I was not moving. No, Tom was not my emergency contact. No, he had no legal authority or permission to ask about my lease. Yes, I would be down there the next morning with documentation to ensure he could never do anything like this again. And that is exactly what I did. I took a personal day and arrived at the office armed like a woman ready for war. I brought printed emails showing rent payments in my name. I brought my original lease agreement. I brought an updated emergency contact list that featured my best friend, my manager at work, and my cousin who's a nurse. But not a single trace of Tom. I even brought copies of texts from Tom for context, including the one where he asked me to move out of my own apartment to make room for his children like I was some temporary subletter.